Hey, today's project is for all those beer drinkers out there. We're going to make a bottle opener.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a woodturner for woodturners. Well, on today's project, making this bottle opener is really cool. And I got the kit from Ruth Niles' website. I'll put that down in the description. She sells lots of neat things. Like in this case, this is a wine stopper kit. And it's solid metal. It's got silicone rings on it. Really cool stuff. By the way, this is cocobolo, one of my favorite woods to use. This is maple, but we're going to be making the handle for our project today out of this nice piece of cocobolo. Okay, I went ahead and cut the blank down to about 5 inches. And this is a 2 by 2 inch blank. And because the shape I'm making is one that kind of reminds me of a, I don't know what they call this. It was like a jack club or whatever. Back in the old days, you get whacked in the head with a sack of pennies or whatever. So I like the way that feels in the hand. It's really kind of cool. So I have my chuck on here, and I've got my extended reach jaws on. And the reason is I want to take this in sideways and put that in there. And this is a great way to hold a piece of wood that doesn't have a tenon on it yet. Because these jaws reach way out and they catch on all sides. And it's really very good strong hold. Now I can bring my tailstock up just for a little bit of security there in case I think I need it. Now I went ahead and changed out, where'd it go? I changed out my regular 12-inch tool rests that Robust makes. They make a lot of tool rests, and so I have this one on here, which is shorter. It's about 8 inches, which is really cool because your tailstock and your chuck gets in the way sometimes, and so having different size tool rests is a very handy thing to have. So I just want to put this on here and come up as close as I can, bring it down just a little bit. I'm actually going to take my roughing gouge and we're just going to round this out a little bit. Find some googles here, put those on, turn this on, pick up the speed a bit. Okay, here we go. I really like turning cocobolo. The wood cuts so easily and it's got a really neat smell, kind of like cinnamon. It doesn't taste like cinnamon though. Okay, so I moved the tailstock out of the way because I need to come in here and part off the end to make it nice and straight. So we'll turn this back on. We still have good grip. And I'm just going to take a small cut. I slowed the speed down a little bit just since this is hanging out. There we go. And all we're doing is cleaning it up, like I said. Turn that over. There we go. Sometimes when you sharpen your tools, you can get the angle a little crooked, and I think I did the last time. But that looks pretty good right there. I want to put a little dimple in here because we're going to drill a hole here in a second. But what I want to show you is that we need to make a recess in the bottom of the handle. And so I'm going to take this diameter right here. So there we go. We'll lock that in. And we're going to transfer that to the wood. And the reason I'm doing that is Ruth had a really good suggestion. If you just have this butt up flat against the wood and you use glue or something like that, you'll see some gaps. It might not look that clean. But if you recess it in a little bit, it looks like a nice, flush, clean fit. So that's a really cool little technique to use to really bring up the quality of the project just a little bit more. So I'm going to take this in here. I don't think I'll have myself a lot of room, but we'll touch the point closest to me. And so it's not matching up with the point away from me, so we'll come out a little bit more. A little bit more. There we go. And this doesn't have to be a jam fit. It just needs to be loose enough that it fits in there. So we got that. So I'm going to turn the lathe off, we're going to move the tool rest, and we'll start working on that part. So with the tool rest moved to the side, we're going to come in here and part this down. And I only want to go down about 1/8 of an inch max. When I sand this, I'm going to lose a little bit of that wood anyway. I don't have to worry so much about what's right here in the center because I'm going to drill that out. But it's a good starting point so I can see how deep I want to go. And I'm just pushing the parting tool in, and it does a beautiful job of scraping that wood out. Like I said, I love turning cocobolo because it's got a really high oil content in the wood, and it's just like turning butter. I mean, it really is neat. So I want to make sure that this is the same depth all the way across, so when the base hits there, it's not riding high in the center or something. So there we go. And that little dimple I put in there a minute ago, I'm going to put back in again, because the next step now is we need a little pointy thing. Get out of there, get out of there, get out. Okay, now that dimple is there to help me center the drill bit. And we need a drill bit to drill a hole. That's kind of obvious, I would think. Yeah, Tim, good job. Yeah. Okay, come here, buddy. Come here, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna take out my tailstock. Ruth provides 2 drill bits with her kits. And I couldn't figure out why until I started messing with this. This one is slightly smaller, and if I could read tiny print better, I could tell you what size it is, but I can't. But anyway, this one's a little bit larger. This is to drill a hole when you're using softwood, and the threads will dig into this easier. When you're using really hardwoods, you have to use a slightly bigger drill bit to make a little bit bigger hole, so when you do cut the threads inside of the wood, it's possible. It doesn't jam up on you. So we're going to come in here, like so. Okay, gonna lock that down. We're going to turn the lathe down. And we only want to go about 3/4 of an inch deep. So you can see, I obviously forgot to mark the depth on my drill bit. But that doesn't really matter on this one. It's not like a wine stopper. I can go in as deep as I want because the handle is going to be about 4 inches long when I'm done. So there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start shaping the handle while we have it held in the chuck. Okay, so now we're going to start shaping our handle, and it's just like this on the lathe. So we're going to start making this shape right here. We're in the chuck right there, so I can't do much of that yet. But we're going to be turning it around, and we're going to be using that drilled hole to do that. So we're going to start this back up. Nothing is hitting. I'm at the right height. Going to turn this on. I'm going to pick the speed up from drilling. And you can see I've got kind of a wide gap here from that recess, so that's why I want to kind of whittle the wood away and start making the lip here. Now you can bring the the tailstock back up if you need a little bit of support, because you can always put a cone center into there, but this seems to be holding up pretty well right now. So I'm going to take a peek and cheat and try to remember, yeah, okay, that's about right. I just wanted to bring this depth down just a little bit. Depth down, the height down. So now I'm just going in, I'm doing a clearing cut. Like so. And that allows me then to start coming in here making this shape. So I want to make my bead here, and as always, you sneak up on a bead and just take fine little shavings. You don't want to rush it. So we'll come in here and we're going to take that. There we go. Got the bead shape. I can never make a bead in one big pass. Some guys, some women can do it. I'm so impressed because they've got so much skill. I don't have that much skill. I feel like I'm a journeyman still sometimes. Is there such thing as a journeyman woodturner? I don't think so. Well, it's made a new category. But one thing, as you start making the handle, you periodically want to stop the lathe and put your hand on the handle just to see if it feels right, if the diameters are right, if things are the way you want them. Now that's feeling pretty good, and I'm thinking the handle's going to end about right here, so I think we're on track. What I have to do before I turn this around is I need to sand it and finish it. Ruth suggested this because this end right here is going to go up against the mandrel when we remount it, and you won't be able to finish it after you turn this around. So take care of it now while you got a good grip on it. Now I'm using Abranet, and what I love about Abranet is it has holes in it. You can see through it. And what that means is it doesn't clog up as easily as other sandpapers. And cocobolo is extremely oily. You'll notice this. It's just as soon as I start, this is going to start filling up. with oily wood. So just move right here a little bit. So check this out, it starts to fill up and clog up already. Well, the cool thing about that is, so I can take this, whack it, and it's all gone, so it's not clogged up anymore. So anyway, this is going to just take a minute to get this sanded down, and once we have it sanded down, I'll show you the friction polish that we're going to put on here. Okay, now we have this sanded and we want to put a finish on here. Well, remember I said this is oily wood, so you really can't put a polyurethane on it that easily. So you'll want to go with a wax or something like this. And this is Yorkshire Grit. It's a microfine abrasive paste. And what it does is just kind of like next to magic. So I'm going to take a paper towel here and just put a little bit of this white paste on here. That is the brightest white I've ever seen. So get a little bit on here. Now I'm sure there's other ways of doing this, but what I like to do is actually by hand put it on so I make sure I'm getting good coverage over every part I need. I'm not going to mess with that because that would hurt. I'm going to put it on the end here, and I don't have to worry about it getting over there and into the hole because the threads are going to hold this on. Cover that up so it don't get junk inside of it. Now we're going to turn Mr. Lathe on and hopefully don't splatter the crap out of our cameras. I'm going to pick up the speed high. So now we're using heat and friction to burn in and build up this wax. And this is microfine abrasive also, so it takes out any scratches you might have. And it's leaving a nice finish, but I don't like using regular cloth on turnings because it's dangerous, but in this case you need a cloth because the paper towel is a little too abrasive. It'll take the shine down a little bit. So in this case, we will just take it like this, and I hold this like this in case it gets caught. It goes right out of my hand, doesn't take me with it. I don't have anything wrapped around my fingers. So there we go. Now I do believe you can build up layers and coats on this, but this is just what one coat looks like. And that is downright incredible. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to turn this around and we're going to put the threads inside the hole. Okay, now this is the genius part of Ruth's system. This screws onto your lathe, so we're going to put this on the spindle and just put her on there. So this goes on here and it seats really nicely. And then it's got this little washer here because once you screw the wood on, sometimes it wants to stick and you need a little help. So you're supposed to be able to take this. I'm going to lock the headstock down real quick so that doesn't move. You're supposed to be able to take this and then thread it in by hand. What I found out was I don't have enough strength because this is cocobolo. So I'm going to get that lined up just about right. I'm going to come over here to the tailstock and slide it in and just be relatively straight. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm going to lock this down. So now I'm using the tailstock to help me push and thread this in. Pretty cool deal, huh? Once I get it started a bit, there we go. Now it's cutting in nicely. What you don't want to do is have this strip out while you're doing it. So, but what I have to do now is I need to back this off. That's why having this as a block still is very handy. And what you need to do is see the build up there. There's a slot right there that's cutting the shavings out. So you want to take your compressed air and blow that out because those shavings fill up the hole inside the wood. And by doing that, it's harder and harder to screw this on and cut the threads. So you're going to reach a point to where it won't turn anymore, and then it's going to get stuck. And when it gets stuck, believe me, it's a pain in the butt to get it going again. So I'm going to have to bring my tailstock back up to help me again here. So we're going to use it to push us in a bit. So I'm going to keep doing this until I get the threads cut. Then we'll start working on shaping the rest of the handle. Okay, so we're screwed back onto the lathe. You know what I mean. And then I've got the tailstock brought up because that's a good hold, but this gives me a little more support as I'm pushing against this to finish turning the shape. And about the shape, I'm going back to my roughing gouge to do some cuts, and I'm going to use my spindle gouge. And that's one really cool thing about Thompson tools is I haven't had to sharpen yet. And cocobolo is a very hard wood, but these are very tough tools, and I do not like sharpening. And so it's very nice to have a set of tools that makes my life easier. So anyway, all I'm going to do is just shape the end of this and finish it up, and we'll sand it and put the finish on it. And then we'll take it off, and that's when we will assemble the bottle cap opener. Now we're ready for the part of the assembly which just was driving me crazy. Now I realized Ruth was smart. She's got little slots here on this thing, so you can put a wrench on here. This is my Harbor Freight wrench, so I'm not sure if you have one that looks like that. That gives you the ability then to grab this. Ow, that came off better than I thought. And get this unscrewed. This gets really slippery when you put a finish on it, so you need a little help sometimes. Don't we all? Okay, so now for the fun part. We take off the screw condom there. Okay, I'm gonna put this in here. We just thread it in. This is going in so nicely. You can glue this, or Ruth said she prefers just to screw this stuff in and leave it in there. To leave it in there just with the threads. Now, if that's giving you a problem getting that screwed in, there is one other trick you can do, and that is you use rubber gloves, and then they get you a better grip on there. So anyway, now we got the end there. Let's go test it out. Oh, perfect. Nice. Good turning, good project, nice time to have a beer. But it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, as they say, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So that's how you make a Cocobolo handled bottle opener. Until the next time, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a woodturner for woodturners.